Hello, and welcome back to another video here on the Sam Cooks Kindness YouTube channel. So today I am bringing you a video I said I would, which is going to be 5 tips to keep you consistent on your plant-based diet. So if you're a brand new vegan or if you're trying to eat more plant-based, this video is for you. If you're not brand new, maybe you'll have something to add. So comment below, let me know what your tips are and if they're the same as mine. If you don't know me, hi, welcome. My name is Sam. I have been vegan for 6 years and I run the vegan blog, samcookskindness.com, where you can find tons of free recipes. So make sure you support me by visiting that. You can also support me by liking this video and subscribing to my channel so you never miss another one. I have been vegan for 6 years. I have lost over 60 pounds in the process and am maintaining that and trying to lose a few more. As I'm making this video today, you've caught me making my lunch. I'm currently prepping some kabocha squash. I'm going to steam this in my microwave steamer and keep it in my fridge for when I want it. Some of it is going to be for lunch today. So I am chopping away as I share these tips with you. So let's start with tip number 1, which is keep it simple. This may sound really, really basic, but it's super important. A big mistake people make when they first go vegan is overcomplicating things, getting very excited and wanting to make all their former favorite foods in a vegan version, which is great. And I definitely think you should try that, but maybe pick one at a time and try to keep most of your meals pretty simple. Make sure you're focusing on foods that you actually like to eat. Don't overcomplicate the recipes, and it's probably best to actually focus on ingredients instead of actual meals like this. So I'm prepping kabocha squash, and I'm going to keep that in my fridge so that I can have easy lunches on the go. I can take this out of my fridge and just pop it in my air fryer with a little bit of spices and seasonings and add it to a component bowl, and I'll have an easy meal. Prepping components instead of recipes can be very handy when you're first starting because you have something easy like potatoes or squash in your fridge ready to go that you can chop up, air fry, and make into an easy meal that's satisfying. And that leads us into tip number 2, which is eat. Make sure you're eating enough food. Think about any fad diet you've ever been on and how you are like gung-ho in the beginning, you're really going at it, and then all of a sudden you realize you're starving or you're craving something because you're not satisfied, and that leads you to the opposite end of the spectrum where you're binging and you're just going back into your old habits. The same thing can happen when you transition to a plant-based diet, especially if you're coming from a standard American diet where your food may be a bit more calorie dense. If you're coming from a diet of eggs and cheese and meat, and then you're switching over to vegetables, especially if you're going whole food plant-based and focusing on whole foods, it can be a big shock to the system. And if you're not eating enough volume of food, then you're going to be hungry and you're going to end up falling back into your old habits, just as if you were trying to do a fad diet. So it's important for you to make sure you're eating enough calories, you're eating enough volume of food, and that you're eating foods that are actually going to satisfy you, like pasta, potatoes, rice, beans, any kind of grains. You got to make sure you're incorporating those. And I know a lot of people come from a fear of carbs, but carbs are your friend. They energize you. They keep you satisfied. As long as you're eating whole food starches, you're going to be satisfied. You're going to have enough calories, and you'll be able to maintain this for the long term. Tip number 3 is to find support and to communicate your needs. You can't expect people to understand what you want, and you can't expect people to cater to your needs. Make sure you're talking to your family about what you're doing, especially if they're not on plan with you. You have to have the hard conversations and let them know that this is what they need to expect from you going forward, whether or not they're on board with it. I'm lucky enough that my husband is also vegan, and we actually went vegan at the same time. That said, you need some kind of support in your life. So if you don't have family members who are also vegan or eating the way that you eat, you're going to need to find that support somewhere else. We are lucky enough to live in a time where there's a million people online and there's so many different support systems that you can build if you don't have that in person at home. I joined a program called Lean with Plants. They have a very good support system that I can reach out to whenever I have a question, a concern, just a bunch of people like me that are going through a similar type of journey. And having that person to communicate is something that is really going to help you stay consistent on your journey to being plant-based. Tip number 4, you are going to have to plan ahead. If this is a change for you, if you're coming from a completely different diet to this one, you're going to have to think a little bit about what you're doing. Eventually, it'll become second nature. You'll know what you're doing, but as you first start, you're going to have to think about it a bit more. Like I said in tip number 3, you cannot expect other people to cater to your needs. So when you're going out to a restaurant, when you're going to your friend's house, your family's house, they may not know that you've made this change. And even if they did, they may not fully understand what it actually means. So you're going to have to think about that for yourself. That might mean bringing a food with you to a party, offering to pack a side dish that is going to feed you, but you can also share when you're out socializing. You just have to think a little bit, maybe look at the menus if you're going out to eat. But it does take a little bit of planning, and it doesn't have to take a lot of planning, especially if you're keeping it super simple with like foods like rice, beans, potatoes. Those are all easy foods that you can conveniently have in your freezer, have in your fridge, in your closet, whatever works for you. But you do have to think ahead a little bit to make sure that you're not going hungry, because you don't want to break rule number 1 or rule number 2. Rule number 2, which was make sure you're eating enough. It also means planning for day-to-day life. So I always like to keep prepped starches in my fridge, like rice or potatoes or squash, because that's an easy, satisfying base for any kind of meal. So pick a recipe that you know that your family will like and make a big batch of it so that you have it when you're in a pinch during the week, because you know that's going to happen. Or plan for that. So you could make simple meals like pre-cooked rice and frozen vegetables with some tofu or some chickpeas and a sauce, and that would be a complete meal in a pinch. But you have to make sure that you're planning ahead so that you don't find yourself with nothing to eat. I got my lunch. So tip number 5 is the one that I think is probably the most important, which is to go easy on yourself. And maybe this is arguably the most difficult of all the tips, because we tend to all be very judgmental of ourselves. And if we make one little mistake, it's usually the end of the world. And that's when things spiral and when you stop becoming consistent. So it's very important to embrace that you are going to make mistakes. You're going to have slip ups. You're going to choose to eat something that maybe you didn't want to eat. And guess what? The world didn't end. It's going to be okay. You can just move on. So when it comes to eating a plant-based diet, or if you're focusing on weight loss, especially, one little mess up, or what you consider to be a mess up, one little imperfect thing, a taste of something here, like a bite of something there, maybe you accidentally ate something that wasn't vegan. Guess what? The vegan police are not coming for you. It's going to be okay. You can continue on. You can continue on. Just the next choice that you make it a better one. In the coaching program that I do, one of my favorite things that we say is that you never miss twice. So if you make a mistake or something that you think is a mistake, you're judging yourself harshly for, just move on. Don't do it twice, because when you do it twice, you're more likely to spiral and fall back into your old habits, to give up. You're more likely to give up if you choose to miss twice. But if you miss once and then you pick yourself up and you just keep on trucking along, doing the work, eating the vegan food, whatever your goals are in life, this can pertain to a lot of things, you're going to be okay. You're going to make it. So those are my 5 tips to keeping you consistent on your new plant-based or vegan diet. Let me know what you think. Let me know what tips you would add if you've been a veteran vegan for some time. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. If you are interested in my lunch that I was creating and I'm about to chow down on, It's just a salad. I threw on some cabbage and carrots that were already shredded in my fridge, some fresh tomato from my garden. You watched me chop my kabocha squash. I just tossed some seasonings on that and put it in the air fryer. And then I added on some pickled onions that were already in my fridge, some coconut aminos, chickpeas, and tahini drizzle on top for a little bit of fat and to make it extra delicious. And this is so good. It's so big, and I'm going to chow down on it right now. But yeah. I hope you liked this video. Like and subscribe if you want to see more like this. I love to share what I eat in the days. I love to do chats like this. Let me know what you want to see from me in the comments below so that I can make what you like. So yeah, I will see you in the next one. I hope you have a fabulous day, and goodbye.